Yo, what's up? It's your favorite homegirl, Chris to go back with another reaction video for show.
Oh, brother.
Yeah. I would never make you pick and choose. Nah, pick and choose. Nah, yeah.
I chopped that bitch to deuce when she tried to leave me. And ever since then, the back been looking healthy.
That why y'all didn't tell me y'all was still out here with the PPP. Thieves. What's up, y'all? We back with a reaction video today. This is crazy. I don't know what I'm about to watch exactly. Are the PP loans still a thing? Like, can you still like go online, apply for a PP loan right now, get approved, and then get caught? Or are they still just catching people for the PP loan frauds? I don't know. Y'all can come in and let me know if you're more up to date on that than me. But this should be interesting. They saying PPP loan fraud is still out of control.
Oh, shit.
They said they still going to the strip club with the money.
Stop the cap.
No, for real. All jokes aside. They say it's still crazy out here and people still getting caught. So we finna watch this reaction video and get into it. Let's do it.
During the pandemic, the federal Paycheck Protection Program loaned out about $1 trillion. The idea was to save millions of jobs. But, and this probably won't surprise you a lot, some of that money was stolen by scammers.
It probably won't
Financial fraud
surprise you.
investigators pouring through all those loans are finding lots of businesses that had no business taking the money. Some even have names so crass we can't say them on TV. Blank the System, for example. Tonight, the I-Team's Chris Glorioso investigates.
Now you a straight up idiot. I'm sorry. I try so hard not to call people these such names because that's just not smart and nice and doesn't help people grow. But if you got the nerve and audacity to just blatantly be like, I'm gonna make a name so absurd that they automatically would dang near flag it, you can name your business. Don't get me wrong. Name your business, whatever you want to name it. But when you're intentionally antagonizing the fact that you know you're doing illegal activity, come on. What else do you expect? You one of the first people they gonna flag. And it's probably clearly evident that you don't have a legit business.
It's some of the most absurd companies that qualified for cash and why nobody gave them a second look.
The government would just hand it out, man. Get it. You get some.
Buried in
Now
a
they like,
long
give
list
it,
of
give it.
PPP loan recipients, you can find some real zingers. How about an employer called Broke Best Friends, LLC, or Money Slut Mafia? They're
Are
both
you
headquartered-
fucking...
Stop the cap.
Bro, Best Friend, LLC? You can't make this shit up. The world gonna get theirs. One thing, I gotta stop being so critical about being a perfectionist because the world don't give a damn. They gonna do whatever to get their money.
in residential apartments, and they got approved for more than $27,000.
I mean, it's pretty amazing to see some of those names.
We can't
It's
say
real
this
smiling.
company's name on the air. It's called The System LLC, based in this house on a hill. The system was approved for more than $18,000.
It's another case of the federal.
But like literally, was it AI? Was it only AI approving this? Because no way a human sat down and was like, yeah, go ahead and write off on that.
Not paying attention where they should be paying attention.
And then there's a company
Shay,
called
we need that money
Satanic
right
Lives
now. Tell 'em,
Matter,
lady.
with offices in this house with the brown shutters. They got almost $1,500.
You're wasting the hard-working people.
But leave him alone. They ain't get that much. They
These
ain't get that much.
absurdly named companies all have two things in common. They were approved for thousands in federal PPP loans, and according to business records, none of them were registered with their
thought that's
respective
what it
states
said.
before the
Now, I'm trying to stop pausing, but the disrespect actually, if that can't be the person I said don't lock up. Lock they so right now. Take they ass to jail right now. Immediately. Actually give them life.
Pandemic. According to PPP rules, only employers in operation by February 15th, 2020 were eligible.
They just started.
I ran a survey asking people.
Oh, y'all was out here just making LLCs from scratch. Like, now granted, like he said, before February 2020, a lot of businesses y'all created, like COVID started, quote unquote, officially announced towards the end of March. Y'all didn't have them businesses before February 20th.
That is frustrating to Nazir Nasir. He
know
owns
you did
Galaxy
it.
Computers in Yonkers, a small
going to
business that's been
jail.
open for nearly a decade. When he applied for a PPP loan,
I was expecting like at least $15,000 to $20,000.
he got just $94.
So $94
You are
is not my
lying.
even a phone bill.
The I-team tried to contact
Now that
the
is
system,
messed up.
broke best friends, and money slut mafia. We couldn't find any of the owners online or on the phone, and we did leave messages.
We're trying
Of
to figure out how
course,
your company got
but-
money without any record of incorporation.
I'm about
Someone
to say,
did pick up at the address
if you
listed
file-
for Satanic Lives Matter, but she said she never got a PPP loan.
But you don't have a company called
Was it your
Satanic
child?
Lives Matter.
you need to go in little
It
Timmy
is
room
important to point out none
and
of
check
these
up on his
crudely
phone and
named
computer, 'cause
companies
he
has
up
been
to
accused
no
of
good in
wrongdoing.
there.
And the CARES Act did not require loan recipients be registered with their respective states. But earlier
That's why
this
I'm
year, the
like,
Small
what?
Business Administration Inspector General found 5,000 businesses got more than $400 million, even though they registered federal tax numbers after February 2020. Auditors said that may indicate the businesses were created to fraudulently gain access to program funds.
You
Every
think?
dollar that goes out to
The paper trail is telling on them.
is a dollar that's not going out to a business that really needs the resources.
Tom Miller is CEO of ClearForce, a company that works with financial firms to root out fraud. He says his team did its own analysis of more than 130 PPP loan recipients. He found more than 1,000 of them were run by people with felonies on their records. Recent felonies were supposed to be a disqualifier.
And half of the felons that we found,
Now
the
that's
felony
a
crime
little
that they committed-
unfair. Why would if I had a felony and got out of jail on February 17th, start my business on February 18th, it's approved. Probably it don't happen that fast. I know through the Secretary of State, but I do all the legalities. And by February 18th, my business is legitimately up and running. For 2 days, I am running my business February 20th, remember? And then COVID hit after that. I deserve a PPP loan. Me and my previous transgressions ain't got nothing to do with me running a legitimate business right here, right now. I don't know about that one now.
was financial fraud.
We couldn't find any of those crudely named companies, so we asked the
The
Small
other
Business
people, lock 'em
Administration
up.
about them. An SBA spokesperson told us the agency does not comment on specific borrowers, but stressed it is actually the responsibility of private lenders to vet and determine PPP eligibility. Nonetheless, the SBA says if anybody
So
out
then
there
why the
suspects
government hunt me
PPP
down
loan
and not
fraud, you can
the
report it
collecting
by going
agency?
to sba.gov/fraud.
What they got to do with the government?
All right, well, a Memphis daycare owner under a federal indictment tonight after allegedly misusing money received during the pandemic. Court documents named 4 businesses owned by Nikita Kennedy.
What about us?
WRG's Ashley
Childcare.
Paul joins us now from live
That's
outside
what she
the
said when
federal
she got
building in
that
Akron.
money.
You found
What
that some
about
of those
us?
businesses are still operating.
Yeah, Stephanie. Well, we
So it's a
knocked
legit
on the door
business.
of the What About Us
Just not
Child Care Center, and it
legally on
is
paper.
indeed still in business, even though court documents allege the owner of that business misused up to $3 million in fraudulent insurance claims
You
and
are
loans.
lying.
Kids
Ain't
at the
no
What
way.
About Us Child Care Center play on
What
this pretend
about
police
us?
car on the playground as a federal indictment hovers over the daycare they attend. According to that indictment, Nikita Kennedy, quote, unlawfully obtained money and other property by means of false and fraudulent pretenses, representations, and promises, end quote, when applying for PPP and economic industry disaster loans for her 4 businesses, which include the Child Care Center, What About Us Adult Daycare Center, and What About Us Home Health Care, along
sorry.
with the What About Us Foundation. Kennedy allegedly received more than $100,000 from the Small Business Association and another nearly $250,000 in PPP
If
loans.
they give
According to
your
court
ass-
documents, Kennedy was not truthful on her applications about key
If they give
information,
your ass $1
including
million
revenue and number of of employees, which
You
impacts
shouldn't
the
get
amount
caught.
of the
You
loan.
should get gone.
It also says Kennedy submitted bills to insurance companies for people that were never patients and got payment for her home health care center for services that were never actually performed.
She's
They
stealing
say
from
she
the
got away
elderly
with
and the
almost
kids. She
$2.7
going to
million.
hell.
According
going
to
to
documents,
hell.
Kennedy allegedly put a down payment on a home and purchased a Rolls-Royce and a Corvette with those funds and will now...
This is why your blood
and
sugar
this is
spikes
exactly
and feet
why.
burns. Did you know type 2?
This is why they say no matter what, people, no matter when you get money, if you don't know what to do with it, you're going to lose it anyway. Like, it wouldn't matter how much she got if she stole it, if she earned it. It's clear she didn't know what to do with that amount of money, and she wasn't
will
going to
now
do
be
right
required
by
to
it
forfeit those
at all.
vehicles. The child care center
She didn't even
is
know how to invest
operational,
it to
but
keep it
online,
flowing.
both the adult daycare center and the home health care center are listed as permanently closed.
I'm just crazed that she named the daycare center What About Us Children Daycare Center, and her main focus has been on everything but the damn kids. Like,
Stop the cap.
you can't make that up. Come on, man. Like, literal thief. Like, she literally hid in plain sight.
Now, I spoke with Kennedy on the phone, and she says she fully maintains her innocence. Her lawyer says that she's pleaded not guilty.
She a
and
character.
that she fully expects to be acquitted once this goes to trial.
But she is a character.
Tonight on the 10 o'clock news, a well-known and outspoken South Georgia pastor now faces the possibility of spending up to 30 years in federal prison.
Of course, it's
Don't
a
expect
South
to see
Georgia
Mac
pastor.
Knight's name associated with fraud.
Pastor Mac Knight of Impact Worship Center in Kingsland was indicted on 5 counts of COVID-19 recovery assistance fraud.
According to the federal indictment, the 45-year-old used the money meant for coronavirus relief to buy a luxury car. News4Jax reporter Erica Avignon joins us live with what else the indictment reveals.
We all want them. I
Eric.
can't be mad. But I'm mad they taking the money.
Well, for the
and
past
using it
couple of
this
years,
way.
Pastor Knight has appeared in many of our news stories, fighting and standing up against what he perceived to be as police excessive force, and even represented the family of George Floyd, who was killed by a Minneapolis police officer. Well, now he is the one who needs representation to fight these federal charges listed in this indictment.
He did a great stand-up.
He was known for his efforts of peacekeeping during the uprising in Minneapolis following the police killing of George Floyd.
I think I would just offer them how to organize a peaceful protest.
And he was a spokesperson for a family mourning the death of Tony Green, who was shot and killed by a Kingsland police officer.
A life was taken all too soon.
But now Pastor Mac Knight finds himself in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. According to this federal indictment, Knight fraudulently sought and received more than $149,000 in COVID relief money. Attorney John Phillips has no affiliation to the case, but is familiar with Knight's community activism.
It is surprising. You know, when you have multiple businesses, you've got to run each one right. And this CARES Act money wasn't free money. It wasn't just take it and do what you want with it. It was relief.
Taxpayer-funded relief, to be exact. According to this indictment, Knight falsely wrote on an application that his tax service and his restaurant earned a combined total of more than $670,000 prior to the end of January 31st of last year. In March of that year, he got a check from the government totaling a little more than $149,000. 10 days after receiving the check, investigators say Knight purchased a Mercedes-Benz for a little more than $46,000. Phillips says this leads to other questions.
Where's the rest of the money? Did some or most go back to the business? I'm curious as to where they have him on the lies. Obviously, they have something because it went to a grand jury. But in this country, we're innocent until proven guilty.
Snitching on him? Would y'all snitch on y'all homeboy
No,
or
aside
homegirl
from
if
a
y'all
paper
knew
trail
that they
that
had a
leads back to
PPP
the
loan
pastor, there is
illegally, and
also a
especially if
criminal
they was
history
doing
of
bad
fraud.
with
We
that
were
loan?
able to conduct a criminal background check that revealed that the pastor Knight was previously sentenced to time in a Georgia prison on charges of fraud and theft.
As many small businesses struggled, money meant to save them went to luxury goods. According to federal complaints, that includes a Minnesota man who took money for manufacturing payroll and went golfing, a New Jersey attorney who got $9 million for fake businesses and remodeled his home, an Atlanta reality star who spent $2 million on a Rolls Royce and a Rolex watch, and a former NFL player who allegedly joined a scheme to get $24 million in federal funds. They all deny the government's charges. The Justice Department so far has charged more than 50 defendants for attempting to steal over $175 million from the Paycheck Protection Program. U.S. Secret Service has opened some 700 investigations into CARES Act fraud.
Which programs are you seeing getting exploited by criminals the most?
We see the Payroll Protection Program and then the Emergency Injury Disaster Loan Program also, which includes both loans and an advance or a grant.
These grants, up to $10,000 in upfront cash, require even less information than PPP loans. All you needed was basic information about your business and a bank account for the money to be deposited.
You didn't even have to be a very...
I'm sorry to tell y'all. You gotta do a lot of legitimate things before you can just be out here calling yourself a boss. And one of those is having actual people on payroll. Let's just even you don't even know how to properly pay yourself first and put yourself on payroll and calling yourself a boss. Get the fuck.
Smart criminal to try to defraud this system. People were doing things like filling in the application with the names of Game of Thrones characters.
The Small Business Administration, which ran the program, later asked the banks to freeze accounts that received this money until they could verify the owner had a qualifying business. 6 banks reported nearly 4,000 cases of suspected fraud. Among those cases, some of their own employees. Wells Fargo has since terminated 100 people. JP Morgan says it identified some of its employees who unlawfully took this money, but declined to say how many.
Tonight, for the first time, we have a clearer picture on where more than $800 billion of federal money, Payment Protection Program, ended up. The money was supposed to help keep millions of Americans on the payroll during the COVID-19 crisis. But where did your tax dollars actually go? My team reporter Brian New has been investigating the government program over the last 2 years. He joins us from Frisco.
That's my tax money.
So the whole point of all those PPP loans was to save jobs, and the program did that. It just wasn't very efficient at it. According to a new study by the prominent group, the National Bureau of Economic Research, only about a third of the $800 billion ended up in the hands of workers who otherwise would have lost their jobs.
Billions and billions of your tax dollars.
So it was one of the worst things they could have ever done. Meaning, if you don't get caught, or if you do, you still spend the money. So at one point, you benefited from it. So it worked out for it because the less fortunate finessed and got their money, give or take some of the people who just took advantage of the system regardless. But it is messed up that dang. Majority of the people who got it wasn't even, again, like, because so many people scammed the system, I don't think y'all understand. Like, it's designed for the payroll people to get paid. So the business owner is not even money for you to get paid. It is money for you to pay your people. So majority of that money, only 1/3 of that money went to that actual flow. It actually flowed through that system. The rest of it stopped at the fake fraudulent boss business owners. Now that is crazy.
Lives of adventure.
My bad, I thought I skipped.
Dollars. It was a giant pot of money. Money that was supposed to help struggling small businesses.
Yeah, it has been tough.
Money
Facts.
that was
They
supposed
need to
to
spin
go
the block
towards
with that.
paychecks so workers could keep
The
their
legit
jobs.
way though.
So we believe that they were a lifesaver.
But according to a new study by a team of economists, 66 to 77% did not go to paychecks. Instead, most of the money ended up in the hands of business owners and shareholders.
What did I just say?
The study
What
traced
did I
that
just
money
say?
even further and
Look
found
them
that
up.
72% of the money flowed to the top fifth of household incomes.
They didn't even pay their
Meaning most of the
people.
money from PPP loans went to people with incomes well over $100,000. And that's the
I am shook if. Now that's totally messed up. Y'all let me know, did y'all just properly understand in the comments right now what he just said? That is the purest example of the rich getting richer and the poor getting motherfucking poor. Now, it was all key when we thought it was Jillian's son making little demonic businesses. That wasn't cool, but it was whatever. And we thought it was whatever when Tyrone and Terry decided they was going to make a fake car wash business and get them a little couple of thousand 2 months after COVID had already started. But it's a whole nother thing to know that on a macro scale was the biggest scam. One of the biggest, like it has to be written in history. The PP loan scam of the freaking 21st century. This gotta be up there next to like the Wall Street, like Wolf of Wall Street, all that type of stuff. Like, I can't even think of the people's name right now, but the guy who finessed the whole stock market and ran the Ponzi scheme, like this is on that level. I'm sorry to over explain it, but to know that everyone that kept the money, the majority of people that kept the money already was making over 100,000. Do you know if you're making over 100,000, not only are you amongst the richest in America, now you might not be, when we think of rich, we think of the 1% of the 1% of the 1% of the 1%. Now those they rich, but to just be basic, everyday, can afford your bills and have a little more to spend and then put some in savings, wealth building rich, 100K is a good entry point, 6 figures, right? And you, again, the U.S., first world problem. So we doing better. You're doing better than the entire world if you hit 6 figures. So to know that they were intentionally taking the money and not even giving it. Some people had businesses, I'm sure, and had real employees and didn't give the money to the employees. This, they going to hell. They going to jail and hell.
Money that went out to legitimate businesses. In the past 2 years, our I-Team investigations have found PPP loan fraud was rampant. Millions of dollars from the program ended up in the hands of fake businesses and was used to buy fancy cars, houses,
fake businesses,
even trips
and
to Vegas.
The rich.
You'll never get it all back. There's a lot of harm these folks did. It wasn't just stealing the money, but stealing the opportunity for another business to actually remain in business.
In
that's
many
true,
ways,
that's sad.
this
For
was
all
all
the actual small businesses.
The study concluded that prior to the pandemic, the U.S. had no system in place that could target the most needy Americans during emergencies. So instead, the U.S. flooded the entire small business sector with money. The report notes it may have been necessary
and didn't even look at
only because
structure
the U.S.
of it first.
was not prepared.
So I want to throw one more number out there from this report that really speaks to how inefficient this program was. According to the report, for every job saved, it costs you, the taxpayer, $170,000 to $257,000.
New tonight, luxury cars, million-dollar homes, and cash hidden in the Middle East. A Mesa couple is now headed to...
I've helped thousands of people.
They hid the money in the Middle East. Now, that we gonna wrap it up with that one. That got to be how they gonna end this. Ain't no way it get no better than that. Ain't no way it get no better than that.
Now headed
they
to
smuggling the
jail for COVID
money.
relief fraud. Good evening and thanks so much for joining us for 12 News at 6. I'm Khadija Devine.
I'm Mark Curtis. The feds have been cracking down on fraudsters who illegally obtained an estimated billions of dollars in loans from the Paycheck Protection Program. Team Charles Bram Resnick has the details on a couple who went on an international spending spree with your tax dollars. Bram?
Yeah, Jason and Kimberly Coleman had no employees, no real businesses, but they kept applying for PPP loans, and they got them.
Dang, they did not
the
once,
Paycheck
not
Protection
twice.
Program
They kept doing
was
it.
supposed to protect businesses and workers from the pandemic. But PPP loans also line the pockets of countless crooks with your tax dollars.
What didn't happen was even minimal checks to make sure that the money was getting to the right people at the right time.
A Mesa couple, Jason and Kimberly Coleman, have been convicted of going on an international spending spree with paychecks for phony workers.
Them say
According
millions,
to prosecutors,
half
the couple
a million,
filed bogus IRS
$250,000.
forms. None of their more than 600 employees at 11 companies existed, yet their banks okayed loans worth $13 million. Prosecutors documented that millions of those PPP tax dollars were laundered in dozens of transactions. The couple put down $7 million cash for 2 palatial homes in Mesa. They had 2 residences on the beach in Rocky Point.
They going to jail and be in a hole, but they live their best life.
Bentley Bentayga, a Rolls-Royce SUV, a top-of-the-line Cadillac Escalade, and more. And they stashed $1 million with a global investment firm's office in the Middle Eastern Emirates.
Now, they this smart. They could have had a legit
was sentenced
business.
to 5 years in prison. Kimberly Coleman will be behind bars for 10 years.
Dang, she got more years than him.
Investigators are pointing fingers at the gatekeepers who handled the loans and profited from them. One of the banks that worked with the Colemans is being investigated by the feds.
Touche, because think about that, y'all. Do y'all agree? Should the banks or the people who approved the loans also be arrested? Because again, if that wasn't AI or generated systems, just like not really checking name, you know what I'm saying? Key search and optimization for triggers of words that would be inappropriate or that would flag it for names, that's one thing. But to have a person just signing off on PPP loans for the same 2 people, that last story, over and over again, enough for them to get $13 million, those mansions, those cars. Somebody else was getting them something off the top of that. It wasn't just those 2 people a part of that scheme. Couldn't have been. But I hope y'all enjoyed this reaction. I'm going to be doing more random content like this, so let me know. Send me some videos. Y'all know I got a form in the description, so you can always submit whatever, whether it's your music, other people's music, or just general reactions. I'm definitely going to be looking out for the submissions there, so make sure you tap in with me. And if you enjoyed this video, you're probably going to like this one as well. Catch you in the next one. Peace.